Welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. I'm kind of decked out today in my lighthearted summer frock and hat, but don't let that fool you. The topic I'm going to be discussing is anything but lighthearted. As the title suggests, I'm going to be talking about seniors who will never have the retirement that they envisioned. Rather, they will work till they drop, and not because they want to. Now, there are a number of factors that contribute to this that are outside of people's control, such as the high cost of housing, the lack of affordable housing, the high rate of inflation, cost for just putting a roof over your head and food on your tables. But there are some factors that you can control, and maybe some of you listening can address these things now, so that perhaps you can have some of the retirement that you would hope to have. So come on, let's talk about it, shall we? The years of 2024 to 2030 are being referred to as the peak years for baby boomers. The reason for that is that between this year, 2024, and 2030, over 30 million baby boomers are going to reach the age of 65. And some are making some terrible mistakes that will impact their financial stability going into their senior years. I'm going to share 5 things in this video that you need to really avoid if you want to have some hope for having some financial stability and maybe the retirement that you dreamed of, or at least a better retirement, and perhaps be able to stop working and not have to work till you drop. Number 1 on the list, in no particular order, is credit card debt. Credit card debt will absolutely suck the financial life out of you. I got a notice recently from a store where I have an account at, and I don't have a balance on the account. But in the notice, they were informing me that their interest rate was going up to, hold on to your hat because you're not going to believe this, 29%. That's right, 29%. I'm going to refer to my notes because I want to show you exactly how harmful credit card debt is and how exactly it just drains you financially. All right, if you have a credit card with a balance of $10,000, and believe it or not, this is not unusual for seniors who are 65 and older. But anyhow, if you have a balance of $10,000 and it's at 18% interest, if you pay the minimum, which is the interest plus 1%, it will take you, well, you guess in the comments. Before I answer this, put in the comments how long you think it will take you to pay off this credit card at $10,000 balance if you pay just the minimum. I'll wait a second for you to answer. All right, answered? Well, let me tell you how long. It will take you 28 and a half years. Some of us aren't even going to live that long, but 28 and a half years you will be paying on this credit card. And guess how much interest you'll pay? $14,425. So the total on this card, which was originally at $10,000, will be $24,425. Now imagine if you had more debt than that, or if you had multiple cards. I know seniors who have multiple credit cards that are maxed out. I don't know how they even manage. But credit card debt is one of the main things that will destroy your chance to have a financially solvent retirement. Number 2 is really related to the credit card debt, and one of the main reasons that people go into credit card debt, and that is they fail to put aside an emergency fund. This is something everyone should do. I mean, I think people should start teaching kids how to start putting money away for emergencies when they're in elementary school. But so often, something will come up. If you live in a sticks and bricks, you may have to put up a new roof. You may have to have plumbing done. Or you may have to, replace a sink. Or, any number of things. A toilet, you name it. And if you're a nomad living on the road, it's equally important to have an emergency fund. In fact, I beg you, if you're going to become a nomad or do van life, do not do it without having an emergency fund set aside. Because things happen. First of all, you have regular maintenance. You're going to need to replace tires. You're going to need to have oil changes. You're going to have to get your brakes done. But then unexpected things happen, like what happened to me. I was hundreds of miles from home and I had to hose blow and had to be towed back home. Or you could have an alternator go out, or all kinds of things. But if you don't have an emergency fund, you're going to use your credit card, and then you're going to have credit card debt just bogging you down, and you won't be able to breathe financially. Number 3 is not having and not keeping a budget. I don't understand how people don't know where their money goes every month, but I was working with someone helping them put a budget together. And they were shocked when we were able to put together from their receipts and different things how much they had spent on eating out. They had no clue. I don't understand how you don't know where your money's going. If you want to know where you need to make adjustments, you need to know where the money's going so you can know where you can and can't make cutbacks. It's like starting a trip without knowing your destination. I just don't get it. But so many people don't have a budget. Then at the end of the month, they may have things that they really have to do, but they've spent money on non-necessities and they don't have the funds to pay for necessities. A friend of mine who is always broke told me once, I don't make enough money to keep a budget. And I told them, the less money you have, the more important it is that you keep a budget and keep track of every time. Number 4 is impulse buying. Some people just don't have the self-control not to purchase something that they see that they really like. And my advice to those people is to just cut yourself off from going into places where you know you'll spend money that you can't afford to spend. I have a friend who she and I both love thrift store shopping. And I really wanted to cut down my expenses. And she did too. So we have this agreement. Every once in a while, we'll say to each other, you know what? Let's make an agreement. We're not going to go into a thrift store for 6 weeks. And we don't. Because you need to remove yourself from the temptation. That's like someone who has a drinking problem always meeting their friends in a bar. That makes no sense. And impulse buying can just absolutely wreck your budget. Another thing I do is I limit myself, even when I go into the grocery store, to one item that's not on my list. Because I could have forgotten something. But I make a list, because if you just go in randomly, you go looking for interesting things. Oh, that's on sale. Oh, I like that. Oh, let me get this. And before you know it, especially if I go into Big Lots or Costco, oh my words, I go in for one thing if I don't make a list, and I'll come out with a basket full, and I'm like, how did I spend this much? So curbing your impulse buying, that is a big thing that will help to save you the money that you will need during retirement. The last thing is kind of a combination. I guess I could have made it 2 things, but it is insisting on maintaining a lifestyle you can no longer afford. Whether that means continuing to hold onto a house that needs a lot of maintenance and has insurance that is going sky high. I hear some of the stories on what's happening in Florida with insurance because of the hurricanes, and also what's happening in California because of insurance rate because of fires. Some people who live in these areas, even though they love these areas, can no longer afford to live in these areas because of the escalating cost to maintain a home in these areas. Also, holding on to a house when perhaps you need to move into a mobile home, or perhaps you need to move or downsize into a tiny home, but refusing to change your lifestyle because it's something you've always done and you don't want to change. And the last part of that refusing is finally acknowledging, but waiting until it's too late and you're sunk financially. I know someone who received word a full 12 months in advance, that their job was going to be ending. They worked for a nonprofit agency, and the agency was closing down shop and moving somewhere else. So they notified their employees, we're no longer going to be here. We're closing down this location, and most of your jobs will probably be eliminated. I talked to this person for the entire 12 months, and I would ask, have you gone out and found another job? Have you, sent out feelers? Oh yeah, I will. I'm going to. Just in denial, total, complete denial. Well, sure enough, the time came, the job ended, and they had no money for rent that month. So even acknowledging that there's a problem and that you can't afford your current lifestyle, but refusing to do anything about it in a timely manner until the rug is pulled out from under you. Well, I hope these pointers have given you some food for thought and made you consider looking at some of these things that you can address and maybe even change, especially coming up with an emergency fund and setting a budget. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and if you'd like more on this type of topic. I am going to do one. I've promised to do one on budgeting, and I'm going to be bringing an expert in to help me do that. But until next time, may your journeys be filled with joy and blessings. And I'm going to do another cooking video since I got so many good comments and encouragement from the last cooking video that I just did. So I'm going to be doing another one in a day or so. So stay tuned for that. See you guys later.